Hello again, everyone. Today I wanted to do an update of my Everyday Carry watercolor palette. And I call it my EDC just because I'm not quite sure what else to call it. This is basically my main palette that I do most of my painting with. All of the other palettes I have are sort of like fun side palettes, if you want to call them that. So there's been some changes here, and most of that is due to what I've been using and what I haven't been using. And some of these colors right now are a little bit wet because I just topped them off this morning because some of the colors were getting used a lot, and so I filled them up to the top. I never know whether I should just keep filling or if I should just let it go down to the bottom and then fill. I tend to be one who just kind of tops it off as soon as the colors are a little bit down in the pan. And actually, I probably should have put some more Cobalt Teal in here because that was getting a little bit lower than the top as well. But I will explain some of the differences between this and maybe the last time you saw it. And I'm going to do a swatching of all of these colors, even though I already have this color guide here, which has all of the colors. I'm going to swatch them and do a little bit of color mixing because I do think that one of the main appeals to me of these colors in this palette is the great mixes that I can get. So this is my old swatch. It's obviously, there's some things that are not here anymore. I've made little notes on here, so it's kind of a mess. This is a really thin watercolor paper that I opted to go for just because it shows the colors fine and it really doesn't take up any room in the palette. So I used this palette recently extensively to do a bunch of watercolor paintings for gifts for the holidays. And I do plan to show some pictures of those paintings because obviously they're going to be gifts, they're going to be given away, but I'm going to wait until after Christmas because I don't want to ruin the surprise. I don't think anyone who is getting one of them is following my YouTube channel, but just in case, I don't want to show them on the channel until after Christmas. So, but at this point, it might be soon. It might be very near Christmas, so you would see them fairly soon. But I wanted to show them to you and kind of talk about which colors I used for the particular paintings. But today I'm just going to be talking about the watercolors themselves. So let's go ahead and I'm going to put this up here. And I can't zoom out anymore. Let's see if I can try and get both in the frame. Actually, let me do it this way so that I can reach the colors. So you won't get my, well, because you will get my arm. It's always a balancing act between, reaching over so you can see my arm or not. Okay, I have some water off here to the side. And let's see. So I'm just going to do some smaller swatching over here on the side, and then I'm going to try and reserve the majority of this page for mixing. So let's see. I don't have a whole lot of time right now, so hopefully I'm trying to get this with at least under a half hour for sure. So, so let's see. So I'm going to look at my little chart here. So comparing this chart, and I'll just talk to you a little bit about some of the changes that I made. So I took out Rhodonite Genuine because it was just too close to the Quinacridone Rose. These were both Daniel Smith, and I'll show you the colors that I replaced it with, but basically I took that out because it was too close to Quinacridone Rose and it wasn't really giving me anything new. I will tell you what I replaced it with. So essentially I put Daniel Smith Quinacridone Lilac, which to me is a little bit different than the Quin Rose. So I haven't really been painting with it yet. Some of these colors are just colors that I just added, but I do plan to play around with it a little bit. I took out this Schmincke Gold Brown because it was just too similar to the other golden brown-like colors that I had on my palette. And because this has a lower light fastness rating than a lot of my other paints that I have on this palette, I just decided to take it out. I also had Moonglow over here, and I was just not using it. So I took out Moonglow. I thought, you know, if I'm not using it, I just have never really attached myself to Moonglow. I know a lot of people really, really love it, but I just, and maybe it's the subjects that I'm painting because it's mostly landscapes. I haven't been able to find a use for Moonglow. So here I've put Shinhan Shell Pink and Rembrandt Dusk Pink in those slots there. So the Shell Pink I just kind of want to play with and see if I like it in the palette. And then the Rembrandt Dusk Pink is kind of a replacement for the Moonglow because I really like the Dusk Pink color. So let's see, what else do we have here? I realize you're seeing everything in reverse because I have these upside down. It's because I was trying to align it with the palette over here. Other major changes, so I kept a lot of the other colors that I had down below. I got rid of my little mixed palettes of just sort of miscellaneous things that I'd put together. I took those out. I added Purpurite, Iridescent Scarab Red. Those are both Daniel Smith. I also added Rembrandt Cobalt Turquoise, which was a new acquisition for me, and I just kind of wanted to try it and see if I like it better than the Daniel Smith Cobalt Teal, which I've really been liking. The Cobalt Teal and the Cobalt Violet have been my favorite new additions. And I thought about taking out the Goethite because I do have so many yellows and browns, but it was really useful in a lot of the landscapes I was painting, so I left it. Cobalt Green Pale is not really a color I've been using all that much, but we'll see. So I took out, well, actually I consolidated. I was trying some Viridians. You know, I still haven't decided. I don't think I'm going to replace my Phthalo Green with Viridian, but I'm still going to have it here on my palette to play with. The Daniel Smith and the Schmincke were so close to me that I just ended up putting them together in one little slot here. And then I added dark Mayan Blue, which I haven't really messed with yet, so we'll see. And one of the other notable replacements is, so I had Schmincke Titanium Gold Ochre here, and I just found like that was also a little too similar to the other golds, but it was opaque. So, and I liked the opaque quality of it because there were some things that it worked well for. So I replaced it with Grumbacher Naples Yellow, which is also opaque, but is definitely very different from the other yellows that I have. So we'll see how that works. I had Zoisite Genuine from Daniel Smith in here before, and I felt like that was a little too similar to the Rare Green Earth because it was sort of a greenish gray. It's beautiful for the granulation and everything, but I just wasn't turning to it. So I replaced that with Daniel Smith Hematite Burnt Scarlet Genuine. So with that, let's go ahead and swatch this out quickly, and then I will do a little bit of mixing. So I'm not going to go in any particular order to try and track what is in the palette here. Instead, I am going to just do some rows. So let's start with this. Oh, that's a new color, so it's still a little wet. So this is the, and therefore very dark. This is the Quinacridone Violet, which is lovely. My swatches are probably going to end up being a little bigger. I might just do my mixes on the other side of the paper here. So Quinacridone Violet, super lovely color. This is Daniel Smith Lunar Earth. I am still absolutely loving Lunar Earth. And I'm using it essentially as a more granulating version of Burnt Sienna. So this is my non-granulating version of Burnt Sienna, which is the Holbein. And again, these are winners. I turn to them again and again. This next one is Lunar Redrock, which again, I turn to again and again. I'm essentially using this in place of an Indian red. Then we have, so I replaced my Daniel Smith Potter's Pink with Winsor Newton Winsor Newton Potter's Pink. And this is still a fairly new edition, so we'll see how it goes. I still have to see how it mixes with other colors. And then this is Daniel Smith Quinacridone Rose, which I am never going to get rid of in my palette, I don't think. It's a go-to color pretty much always. This is Daniel Smith Cadmium Red Scarlet. So this is sort of an interesting color. It kind of overwhelms everything in mixes, but if I need sort of a really vibrant red, like red roofs or something like that, this is a red that I will go to. I don't use it as much as the other reds on my palette, like this one, which is Daniel Smith Deep Scarlet. This is one that I really, really like as a deep red. And a winner that has continues to surprise me is the Aussie Red Gold by Daniel Smith. I have found it to be really great for mixing. It's really great just used on its own. Sometimes I'll add it for like sunset or something like that. It's just a really great overall color. I've really been enjoying it. Okay, and then this new addition here is this Grumbacher Naples Yellow. So it'll be nice to have a lighter yellow to kind of go on top and lighten up if I need to, because it's kind of opaque, but also as a mixing color. So I'm looking forward to trying that out. And then another staple, which I think will never go away, which is the Schmincke Quin Gold. This is a favorite. I use it all the time. And then another one that I don't think is ever going to leave my palette, especially since I have two in my palette, which is the Schmincke Lemon Yellow. It's kind of my main yellow for mixing greens, especially brighter greens. I mean, I kind of use all of the yellows and oranges to mix greens, but this one works really well for me. And you can get a really nice springy green, but if you mix it with a darker blue or even with a green, you can kind of get a more natural looking color. It's really a great color. Okay, one that I don't think I've been using all that often, but I just can't, it's very useful when I do use it, so I have not removed it, is this Buff Titanium by Daniel Smith. And, okay, so then this is the Viridian, which is now a combination of Schmincke and Daniel Smith Viridian. Oh my god, I'm going to run out of color spots on this page. It's okay. It's okay. It's just going to be big. So then this new color, and this was a fairly recent acquisition, is this dark Mayan Blue, which is just gorgeous. I mean, I love a dark blue. And it's different enough, I think, from indigo that it can serve its own purpose. But if I find that it's kind of too duplicative of the indigo, I will probably end up taking it out. And this is a color that I was really surprised at how useful it was for landscapes. And this is the Titanium Gray by Daniel Smith. It's a little bit opaque, so that's nice. And then it's sort of a neutral, so you can mix it with other colors, but you can also, you know, you just use it on its own for nice rocks. So this is the Nickel Azo Yellow by Daniel Smith. And this, I thought about taking it out, but it's really a good in-between yellow. So it's not as bright, well, it's pretty bright, but it's not as light as the lemon yellow, and it's not as dark as the Quin yellow, or Quin gold. So I find it's a nice medium color. And then the Core Green Gold, I have, you know, I'm on the fence about this one. I have to kind of give it a try. I do use it a little bit in mixing up greens. I don't usually use it by itself. So this is the Undersea Green by Daniel Smith, and this is another one that I just don't know. I'm not sure if I'm loving it. So I'm going to give it a try. And then this is the Daniel Smith Cobalt Teal, which I have been loving. Loving, especially for mixes. And then the Cobalt Violet, which is by Rembrandt. I've also really been loving. It can be a little hard to re-wet, and it can get a little light unless you do some additional layers. Once you wet it, though, it tends to be okay once you've gotten it going. And this I found to be really perfect for wildflowers. There's so many wildflowers that seem to be exactly that color, and I was using it a lot for that. So this is the Goethite, and again, it's kind of good for like dirt and rocks and stuff like that, but also a good mixing color. This is the Hematite Burnt Scarlet which I'm really looking forward to using and mixing with other colors. And then we have the Dyke Brown, which although I don't use it all the time, when I do use it, it's really useful. So basically, and I'll probably do a mix on the other side, I use it a lot for grays to get sort of a quick dark gray with a blue. So I'll show you that once I start mixing a little bit. I'm not going to do too much mixing just because I don't want to take up too much time here. So another color that I've kept is the Lunar Black by Daniel Smith. It's really great just to sort of add a punch to different colors. Oh, and I didn't do the Shell Pink yet. So this is the Shinhan Shell Pink. It's also pretty opaque. We'll see. I probably don't see myself using that as a standalone color, but it is really beautiful. Okay. I think I was a little too optimistic about how much paper I would use or not use. Oops, I made that a little too wet there, but that's okay because this is the color that works really well when it is diluted. So that is the Dusk Pink by Rembrandt. And then I have the Perylene Violet, which again is still really useful in my palette. This is the one by Schmincke. And it looks like I may have had some oils on the page or something because it's separating there. And another color that will never go away and I think will always be in my palette is the indigo, because I use it a lot, especially with trees, mountains, that sort of thing. I use indigo a ton. And as you can see, it's a little similar to the dark Mayan Blue. So I'm gonna do some mixing with it and see how different it really can be. Oh, and I did take out the Schmincke Cobalt Blue, and I replaced it with Perylene Green, which I'll get to further down, because the Cobalt Blue Deep from Schmincke that I had in there before was just too similar to the French Ultramarine, which is what this is. I'm actually just going to flip that out and do more here. It was too similar to the French Ultramarine, and it was too granulating for the things that I wanted to use it for. Go figure. I mean, I never thought I would say that about a color, but it really was too granulating because I was trying to use it a lot for skies, and it just looked too messy. Okay, so this is Daniel Smith's Phthalo Blue Red shade, and then the next one is Phthalo Blue Green shade, and these are also probably ones that I will never replace. They both have a really great purpose. The Phthalo Green Red shade I found is actually super diluted, is really great for really blue skies. I just really like the way it looks, and you know, a little goes a long way. And then this is the Rembrandt Cerulean Blue, which also is fantastic. I've been really happy with all of my blue choices. And then this next one is Genuine Sleeping Beauty Turquoise. And then we have Phthalo Green by Schmincke. And again, I'm never really using that by itself, usually just in mixes. And then the Sap Green by Daniel Smith. I'm also not usually using this by itself. I usually mix it, and it makes great mixes, I think. Okay, this is the Perylene Green by Schmincke, which is beautiful, and I'm really looking forward to using it. I actually found that I was kind of, I'm not going to do the yellow again because it's just another of the lemon yellow here. I'm just not cleaning it because it's my mixing for greens. I found that I was really missing a dark color like the Perylene Green. Okay, and then this is Cascade Green, which I've had in here for a while. I'm kind of on the fence about Cascade Green. I know a lot of people love it. I'm going to water that down so you can really see the separation there. I just feel like it's, you know, when it's there, it's like you've used Cascade Green. You know what I mean? Like, there's no mistaking it for something else, and I kind of like to have my own sort of unique mixes. Okay, so this is the Rare Green Earth by Daniel Smith. This next one is Prussian Green, which I was surprised at how much I turned to it. I think that Cascade Green actually has Prussian Green in it, and Prussian Green in itself is a mix, but it's very pretty and does make very nice mixes. Same for Olive Green. And I have a lot of greens in here now, but I'm really just trying them out to see which ones I use the most. I have not used this one very much. This is Cobalt Green Pale, which is very pale, but it has a really nice granulation and a really nice tone. Okay, and then this is the Rembrandt Cobalt Turquoise, which I wonder even if it's different enough to keep it in even with the Cobalt Teal. Oh, and this one is a duochrome. It's Iridescent Scarab Red. And this has a lovely color on its own, but also has a really beautiful color shift that you probably can't see now, but once it's dry, it should show up a little better. And I also added Purpurite just to try out. I took out the Moon Glow, so that was kind of a replacement for that. This is Lunar Blue. And then I still left Lunar Violet here just to try it and see. I do kind of like it. I think it might be a little similar to the Dusk Pink, which, yeah, is on the other side. But we'll see. And then the last one here is Napth Maroon, which I think is a little close to the Perylene Violet, but I get such great mixes out of it that I've kind of left it. Okay, so now I have this area here. What I'm going to do first off, I'm just going to mix the colors on the page. So I'm going to actually, let's see if I can do sort of a dark green with, let's do sap green with indigo. As you can see, it just really nicely darkens that sap green. You're almost getting a Perylene green, but that's still its own deal there. And then I'm going to do the same thing, but with the Mayan Blue, and try to do the same amount. Yeah, and with these two, it would be hard for me to tell the difference. But I really like how I can instantly darken pretty much any green with the indigo. Let's try it with green gold. Oh no, that's nickel azo. Actually, let's try the nickel azo yellow. Let's try nickel azo yellow with the indigo. And see, you can get a really nice sort of dirty green. It's lovely. Let's see, do the same nickel azo yellow, but this time use the dark Mayan Blue. It's a little different, but I think I did add less blue there. So it's kind of nice for these natural greens. So let's go with, I'm going to show you what Cobalt Teal and Perylene Violet look like together, which is gorgeous. I think I need to add a little more teal. And I've shown a mix of Cobalt Teal and Napth Maroon before. And let's try that as a comparison to see how different that looks. Okay, I think the percentage is a little bit better here. So it's slightly different. But again, you know, the amount of mix is always going to make a difference. So let's see, what is one of my, so obviously mixing every green, which I won't go through every green. Let's see. So let's go with the Potter's Pink. I'm going to go with Potter's Pink, and I'm going to go with the Naples Yellow. Let's see. Oh, that's actually really beautiful. And then, let's see, what if we mix titanium gray with the Perylene Green, because I found that this gray is really great for mixing. Yeah, that actually gives it a very interesting quality. I like that a lot. Okay. And as you can see, well, maybe you can't see, but there's a little bit of granulation going on up there, which is very nice. Okay, so let's see. Oh, and I wanted to show you the grays. So one really quick and easy way to get to a gray is to go with Dyke Brown, and then a ultramarine. I'm using French ultramarine. So you just really quickly get to a really nice gray. And depending on how much brown or blue you use, it can be either warmer or cooler. A lot of my grays I mix with ultramarine. So like ultramarine and burnt sienna is sort of a classic gray. I think I added a little bit too much burnt sienna. Let me add more of the blue. So that's a really classic gray. And I also really like the effect of Lunar Earth with that same blue. So that's a pretty dark gray, but you're going to get a lot of really nice granulation when it dries. And I'll put this up to the camera before I go. And let's see. So another one of my favorite mixes is this Deep Scarlet. Let's start up here. Deep Scarlet, and then either the blue shade or the green shade of Phthalo Blue. So that gets a really nice gray as well. So that was the green shade. And then let's do that with the blue shade and see what we get. And there I've left a little bit, it's a little more on the red side, so it's really sort of like a muted purple. It's lovely. I love all these grays, and I love that I have the ability to get so many different grays just with a few combinations. So let's see. So those are some of my favorite mixes. I'm trying to think. I think I'm only going to do a couple of more here. And I've been trying to decide to use the green gold more. So let's do a mix with green gold. So green gold, and then let's try it with this new color, this hematite burnt scarlet. See what that does. So basically sort of a greenish brown, but it's nice. Let's see. What happens if, can we get a gray if we kind of go with the opposite? So let me, oh, again, I keep going into the nickel Azo Yellow instead of the green gold. So let's go with the green gold and then go with the Perylene Violet. Okay, that's sort of interesting. I like that. It's almost like a blood red color, sort of like dried blood. But it's actually quite a beautiful brown. Let's see. Okay, one more. I have time for one more. And I am going to do... Let's go into this lilac, which I'm going to have a lot of here on my brush. Let's do the lilac with the French Ultramarine. That's actually a really beautiful purple. Wow, super pretty. And I'm just going to do a little swatch next to it of the same mix, but with Quinacridone Rose. Let's see, so let me get a little bit more there. So there's Quinacridone Rose, and let me put a little bit of blue in there. Definitely not getting as purple, but I think I probably had my mix off a little bit. So I think this is a really good way to see the difference in these colors. You're getting a really deep, beautiful purple, whereas here you're getting a more bright and vibrant purple. It's very interesting. Okay, so let me go ahead and put these up to the screen. Hopefully I can remember what the colors were that I mixed so I can label them for myself. So here is the beginning of the palette. Here. I just had too much of this lilac and then added water, which gave me a back run. And then here is the end of the palette. And then here is those beautiful mixes. This one, let me just go ahead and fold this page over. This is really one of my favorite grays. This is that Dyke Brown with the French Ultramarine. You can really vary it. It has these beautiful, beautiful granulating quality. This was that teal, the Cobalt Teal with, this was the Perylene Violet, and this is the Perylene Maroon. So very interesting to see the differences there. And I think this was the Burnt Sienna and French Ultramarine, which is sort of a classic gray mix. And then I think that this was the, or was that, let's see. Now I've totally gotten mixed up as to which is which. No, this might have, yeah. Anyway, I don't remember. You can play back the video and tell me. This is actually a really beautiful reddish brown. I'm actually really, really loving that. But this palette in particular has so many different variations and so many options, probably too many options. And like I was saying, all of these colors around the edge here, these are sort of like, I'm going to have fun and play with these colors and see if I like them. When I start, you know, getting a permanent, more permanent like palette, they end up migrating into here. I have several colors that I think will never leave my palette. I'm pretty sure both the, what is that one? Lunar Earth and Burnt Sienna are never going to leave. The Lemon Yellow is probably never going to leave. French Ultramarine Blue, never going to leave. The only reason why I have a large palette of the Perylene Green is because that's what I had available. It came out of a different set, so that's why I put it in here. But I probably would just use a regular size palette in future. I think I have a tube of that, so I could change that around if I wanted to. But it's just really fun to play with colors, and like I said, when we get a little bit after Christmas, I will plan to do a video where I go over the watercolors that I painted for some people for Christmas, and using this palette as it was before I changed it to today. And I'll kind of tell you, you know, how I decided to mix certain colors and that sort of thing. So we are getting a little long, almost 35 minutes, so I'm going to go. But thank you for joining me today. Feel free to subscribe to keep track of future videos on my channel. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. And I hope to see you next time. In the meantime, have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.